Welcome to the Bachelor Universe Podcast. The second episode of The Bachelor was tonight, and of course, a lot of craziness ensues as always. So let's take a recap of tonight's episode. So episode 2 of Ben the Bachelor, season 20, starts out with a group date. Yep, right away from the start. So we have Jackie, LB, Lauren H., Becca, Amber, Mandy, JoJo, Jubilee, Jennifer Boobage, and Lace get to go on a group date. So there was a group date right from the get-go, and that's a lot of names to mention because there was a lot of people still around. Okay, so Lace, of course, talks a big game about herself and how she's going to dominate and do this and do this. And, of course, being also very, very worried about her standing. So, where's the group date? Well, they go to Bachelor High. No, they're not getting high or anything like that. Well, that would be an episode. Bachelor High as in Bachelor High School. Yes, another corny, cheesy gimmick. Kind of reminiscent to the one that was on the Bachelorette season, where Ben was like the great guy with kids at the school. But this is Bachelor High School. So, well, how about that? Chris Harrison is your principal. Yeah, Chris Harrison does the announcements. He even dressed the part. I mean, we're talking about glasses and a really corny, creepy sweater vest. So yeah, he looked like someone who would be on the most wanted list as a really creepy individual. So way to go, Chris Harrison, creeping everyone out. So what does Chris Harrison have planned for everyone? Well, he makes an announcement that the girls first need to go to their lockers to pick up stuff. So they had lockers. This is so corny. I don't know why Bachelor keeps on doing that, but they do. So what happens next is class time. Yep, and we're talking about a science experiment. So the girls are dressed in lab coats and goggles. Clearly none of these girls could ever pass as any sort of chemist. No, by the looks of it, definitely not. Lace says that she hated school. Is this supposed to be a surprise or something? Just look at the girl. No surprise there. Lunch class is up next. Chris Harrison makes that announcement. Now, I don't know what sort of school Chris Harrison's running, but I never had a lunch class. I'd like to. That would have been a nice class. Hey, what did you get on your lunch grade? Oh, I got an A. Yeah, like that. So, this is one heck of a school. Lunch class was over, and Ben was thrilled with that. He says, if my teachers in high school looked as good as some of these women today, I would definitely have paid more attention in class. Now, good to know that you slacked off, Ben. Yeah, way to go, jock boy. So that was that. Then another, if it wasn't weird enough at this point, of course it had to get weirder. They had a fish tank loaded with apples. I mean, I don't know. Don't ask. And the girls had to use their mouth to retrieve the apples. I couldn't make this up. This is legit. This is what happened tonight. Yeah. Do I even have to comment? Girl with the biggest mouth gets the apples. So, geography class. That's a very important geography class. And the geography class consisted of the girls having to label where Indiana is on the map. Okay. Should be easy, right? Of course it isn't. Because Becca, JoJo appeared, and plus all majority of the other girls, had no idea where to place Indiana on a map. So they had this like whiteboard where they just had to kind of stick Indiana onto it, like a little kind of a sticker thing, and just place it on a blank map. And Becca managed to put it on where would Pennsylvania be located. So yeah, and she even did the honors of like flipping Indiana sideways and putting it right in the spot where Pennsylvania is. So clearly she will have trouble getting to Ben's hometown for the hometown dates. We should have this figured out right now, ahead of the hometowns, hopefully, if she makes it that far. So she's definitely a keeper. Then we have a basketball shootout. Obviously, that becomes natural on this show. You need to have some kind of basketball thing going on at all times because Ben's a baller, apparently. Becca does all right, hits a few jumpers. Some of these girls could actually shoot. Good, I guess. That's impressive, right? Then, to settle it all, who's going to win the date of the day, right? Who's the champion of the high school date? Well, it comes down to Amber and Mandy, the dentist, in a race, track race, to settle it all. And this one wasn't much of a race, because Mandy just blew by Amber. Amber managed to show that she's a very uncoordinated, slow bartender. And Mandy is a speedster dentist. Yep, so that's what it was. Mandy kills it, displays incredible athleticism, and Usain Bolt should really start looking over his shoulder. When he's looking back at his competition, well, Mandy's coming. Impressive. So Mandy gets crowned as the Bachelor High Homecoming Queen, which seems to be a pretty fairly big honor. And she gets the outfit and the crown and gets on they actually managed to bring a convertible. And Ben was on it, and they drive off. Now, we don't know where they drove off. They were on the high school field, so maybe around the track. Yeah, sounds like a good deal. That was your Bachelor High date. Yeah. Let's move on, because there's not much more to touch on that one. A patio party, of course, to continue to kind of end the night with this group date. And so it's a rooftop. And what do we see? Becca shooting hoops. Now, can someone explain to me? I don't have anyone around me, but email, comment, tweet me. Why is there a hoop everywhere this guy goes? Like, legitimately, are they just like building along wherever he steps? A hoop somewhere, just placing a hoop. I mean, we now know where this production money is going to on this season. It is absolutely going to establishing a basketball hoop wherever they go. This is getting out of control, clearly. I mean, we need to ease up there with LeBron. He ain't no LeBron. But it is what it is so far. So then Ben takes Jennifer Boobage on a side chat on the rooftop. And for those of you who don't know Jennifer Boobage, she's the Jennifer from Florida. One of the 20 people from Florida. But she's impressive. And that turns into a makeout session right away. So Ben's going for it. And then there's a scene of back in the house, and a date card arrives to set up the next date. And Kayla gets the date for the solo date. So that should be interesting. And, look at Lace. Lace is talking about Lace again. More of that. What do producers love putting that in? Just Lace talking about Lace. They just need to stir up. She's clearly the Kelsey Poe of this season. Lots of Lace. This, is kind of redundant at this point. We've seen her just talk about herself and the same stuff over and over. But they're milking it. So apparently Lace is excited to be there for Ben, and he forgives her for her going all crazy tonight, first night there, and, coming to him and complaining and all that. So there's a reassurance. And of course, Lace ends with a memorable quote saying that she was I fucking him. Yeah. Until Jubilee interrupts. Thanks, Jubilee. Damn. Just when Lace was getting excited and happy, she just had to do that, right? Okay. So there it was. But Ben thinks there's a lot to Jubilee. He was talking her up, saying that there's a lot of layers to her, and she does open up to him about telling him that she was in an orphanage as a child. So there's a lot to this girl. She was a military war vet. She grew up in an orphanage. Tough woman for sure. Ben gives her like a little peck on the lips as they leave, but that girl's been around, okay? And not in a bad way we're talking around, but she's done a lot in her life, so she's not just going to take a peck. She pulls him in for a makeout session. So Jubilee goes what she wants. So there we go. Breaking news. Breaking news coming in right now. It's Lace talking about Lace and saying that she hasn't had enough time with Ben. So, back to normal. Caitlyn 2.0, my favorite, which is LB. She just got a chance to talk to Ben, and of course she gets ushered off when Lace interrupts. Great. There we go. There's my Caitlyn 2.0 clone. Not even getting a few words with him. Of course, Lace makes another claim that she's going to be getting a rose tonight, and she finally comes back to the group, and clearly the girls are upset because they know that LB was interrupted by Lace, and of course the awkward silence ensues. Like, we're talking about a pin drop. You could hear it on full blast mode. The awkwardness in that rooftop when Lace came back to sit with the women it literally made Nick Vale crashing a show look like a happy moment. So think about that. And we know how awkward Nick Vale made his appearances. So yeah, Lace is establishing herself. While that's happening, JoJo, who's just absolutely rocking a smoking hot blue dress, she finally gets some time with Ben, and they kiss, and he's not stopping. Now you can tell when he's kissing JoJo, there's a big difference than when he's kissing someone like Jubilee, because he's just so into it. Like, there's no doubt that JoJo's got his attention. That kiss was legit. Okay, back to the house. There's that solo date with Kayla. And seemed to be a trend the last few seasons on this show that there's got to be some sort of celebrity involved. Last season we had Jimmy Kimmel and we had Amy Schumer. So Bachelor went for it twice. Now, there's always a promotion of a film. Chris Soule's season had Cinderella. a huge promotion and everything themed like that. So, what happens in this season? Of course, it's time to promote Ride Along. Yeah, the Ice Cube Kevin Hart movie. So, what better way to do that by having Ice Cube and Kevin Hart come on? Yeah, there's your celebrity. So, how are you going to factor into this date? Well, it's easy. They're going to go on a ride along with Kayla and Ben. Now, if that wasn't awkward in concept, it's even worse when it plays out. So yeah, not a cheap shout out to the movie or anything, but it's a cheap shout out to the movie. What a distracting date. So basically, they're driving down. Ben's driving, so he's a chauffeur. Kayla's sitting next to him in the front, and then in the back you have Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, and you can see about 6 mounted cameras. They look like those laptop cameras before they were built into the laptops. So they're all kind of planted along the car to catch all the moments. And the first trip is, of course, to a liquor store in the morning. This is definitely a morning trip. Ice Cube, of course, suggests that Ben get some Hennessy and condoms, which is probably the best advice this guy has ever gotten. So Ben doesn't take him up on the offer, but hey, at least he's got a wingman there, right? Just thinking ahead. Just come on. Ben is the last guy that would ever be seen hanging out with a crew of Kevin Hart and Ice Cube. This dude just does not fit in. And then Ben keeps on making claims about seeing Kevin Hart in Denver weeks before the show started. Come on, man. Who are we kidding here? You don't hang with these dudes. And of course, it just gets more awkward, and just nothing's going on this date. It's just Kevin Hart and Ice Cube dominating, talking nonsense. And obviously, Kayla thinks this is such a unique date. That was her words. In other words, she's saying, get me the hell out of here, because there's no way she would rather have this date if she had to do it over again. Yeah, that is not the kind of one-on-one you want to get. While other girls get fancy things, a helicopter ride to some exotic location or some kind of yacht trip, she gets to drive around with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube. No thanks. There's no romance in that. But they did try to do something romantic. They tried to do a hot tub encounter session for Kayla and Ben. And, of course, they did find a hot tub in a department store. Like I said, I can't make these kinds of things up. It actually happened. They were in, on a display, probably hot tub, in a store where you can see, the shelves and items next to the tub. Are you kidding me? Has the production budget been slashed so bad since the first episode that they have to rent out a hot tub in a department store? I don't even know if it's a department store. It could have been even a convenience store. Maybe it was that convenience store they were trying to get the Hennessy and condoms in. I have no idea. But it looked like that. And it was Ben, Kayla, and Kevin Hart was joining them in the hot tub. Yep, production has gone to such lows. And money's tight. So yeah, at this point, it's just with this ride-along promo going on, why not name the show The Bachelor, sponsored by, insert a movie name into the list, because that's what's been happening. So then we go back to the house, another group date. Emily, Shoshana, Shishi, the Russian girl, of course. This is all one person, by the way, I just mentioned. Then you have Sam, Olivia, Haley, Amanda, and that's the next group date. And then we go back to Kayla, who really reminds me of Catherine Lowe. Yeah, Sean Lowe's wife. I mean, there's a striking resemblance there, no question. She gets a dinner date with Ben in some, continuing this cheap trend of like budget cuts, in some hole in the wall type of joint, brick walls, and it looks like a family diner type of place. Good job. Clearly, Kayla is getting the best spectrum of that date. But Ben does offer her a rose, so at least she gets that. And she's on to the next episode. On the way out, they walk by a place called the Regent, and seems like a theater / music hall or whatnot. They go inside, and there's an artist performing, and it is Amos Lee. I don't know who he is. Seems like people on Twitter know who he is. There's a lot of excitement. Either I don't know anything about music, or Ben is just not very good at picking his type of music, or known musicians. And Amos Lee is the pick. So, that case, I must be out of tune on music, but they get a solo concert. So this date's getting a little bit better, right? Ben's gushing how, like, his favorite song of all time is being played. Again, I have no idea. And Kayla just mentions how she just wants to live in this moment forever. I don't. But she's easy to please, and she can't see how Ben isn't lovable. So there you go. Kayla isn't very hard to impress. That's what we can take away. Then we have the final group date. It seems like there's like 100 women in this house with all these group dates. Final group date. Ben's wearing some, so the rest of the girls, which is only a few, go to this love test place. Ben's wearing some like goofy techie nerd goggles, and they walk into like this place with like all lab coat wearing quote unquote doctors, and Dr. Love introduces them. Yeah, there's this, apparently this is a thing. And he's gonna go find out who's loving Ben, with a series of goofy tests. First one is like, it measures the women's retina by placing like a picture of Sean Lowe and Ben. I don't know what the Sean Lowe thing is all about, but see where the girls' like eyes are gonna move towards. Luckily, most of them went towards Ben. I think they purposely did that. I mean, obviously, this is a trap. Next one is running on a treadmill, and that was a big one, because Ben was going to sniff their odor. Now, I hope these chicks put on deodorant and perfume and took a shower beforehand. So then, yeah, I guess Ben gets to smell them. And Olivia was announced by Ben to be the most sour smelling one. I don't know what a sour smell is like. I can't put that together, but it doesn't seem very good. So that's just basically saying she got bad BO, apparently. And then finally, to clinch it all, there's a shirtless on a guy part thermal interview. So they go into this room, and it's like they just see the body heat and I guess thermal ways in 3D or whatnot. It's kind of goofy, but everyone gets to watch as the girls go in one by one with Ben and kind of like get close to him and see the interaction and what like body heat projection, I guess. So that Ben seems to be groping Amanda's boob. Just like touching her heart, right? Yeah. Okay. So that was one of them. So you got to feel for these girls. Olivia, who was on this date, wanted to kiss him, and she asked him to kiss her, but he didn't do it, considering all the girls were watching. So the results were in. The lowest and a sour-smelling Samantha gets a 2.42 out of 10. 2.4 out of 10. That is not even a quarter. This is not a good score. While Olivia scores the highest at 7.45 out of 10. And then we see Olivia doing her Charlie Sheen impression of winning. She's winning for sure. Let's just hope she doesn't end up like Charlie, because he didn't win at the end. Olivia gets some more solo time, or we can call it just make out action with Ben. He attempts to redeem himself at this point later on with Sam and tells her she smells like passion fruit. Sure she does. Way to be late to the party on that one. So Amanda steals Ben. She finally wants to tell him about her 2 daughters because he didn't even know about that. Ben actually seems pretty accepting of it. Like, he says he's okay with her having kids and wants to kind of know more about it. And it's a nice little moment. But who does the rose go to for the date? Of course she goes to Olivia. I mean, no-brainer. Winning. She's won. He's starting to become the most predictable bachelor of all time. Clearly, he's into Olivia. I mean, no question. And JoJo. And now it's where it gets interesting. It's a heck of a week. Ben comes back to the house and, he smelled women. He took him to high school. There's a lot going on. And of course he had a cheap date with Kayla, and he rode along, right? Almost bought some Hennessy and condoms. So finally we have our long snapper, our favorite long snapper, Leah. She gets to chat with Ben. It's not long-lived, as Olivia, who received the rose already, comes and crashes the scene and takes him away. So this is a theme. Lace and Olivia like to just crash and take away the girls. So there. I think she's kind of beating Lace to the punch. Lace is losing her mojo with all that Olivia takeover, which brings us to the showdown. Olivia versus Lace. Yeah, this is absolutely what Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather was supposed to be. But we get it now with Lace versus Olivia. So they actually go and have a chat with each other. A polite, kind of anger-filled chat, with a lot of animosity. Interesting stuff. Some stuff is brewing there. Lauren B., the flight attendant, finally makes an appearance. We haven't seen her much at all in this episode. And she talks to Ben, and she actually tells him that she's kind of content at what she's accomplished so far on the show, and she wouldn't be devastated, basically, if she had to leave. So that's something interesting there. She tried to disqualify herself? No, she says that she wants to stay, as Ben kind of gets worried. And Ben shows her a photo of them on the first date. Wow, where did he get that? This photographer's just handing out pictures taken at all times. It's not that suave, Ben, but okay. So you got a photo. So then, back to Amanda and Ben. He makes some hair clips with her for her daughters. This is a nice little touch, but very predetermined, obviously, and planted. Then we see a shot of like Amber talking about how scared she is that she didn't get to talk to him, that she might be on her way home again, as she did in the previous season. So that brings us to a rose ceremony. The rose ceremony for the night. Back to consistency. Now we're still ending with rose ceremonies this season. So Amanda receives the first rose. Jubilee is next. Then you see like shots of Lace crying, freaking out. They're constantly focusing in on her, which of course means that she's going to get a rose. No way they're sending her. Lauren B gets a rose. Leah, the long snapper, gets a rose. Becca gets one. Becca's kind of floating around right now. She's not making much of an impact, but she's sticking around. Rachel gets one. I have no idea who she is. She's like the Samantha Stefan of this season, kind of just like getting roses and floating by and getting by. And then they put Rachel in Bachelor in Paradise, and she's gonna like blow up and be huge and controversial. Lace gets one. Okay. LB gets one, but before she takes the offer, she asks Ben to take him to the side and talk to him. And we don't see much of that. Basically, we just say that LB wants to leave. Wow. Now, I did not see this coming. If you listen to the first podcast, that was my pick to win this season, was LB. And here she is. She's removing herself from the equation, asking to leave. This was my final pick. It came down to Olivia and her. I am horrible at this. I am the worst predictor ever. I am not Nostradamus. I'm going to keep my day job. Wow. Talk about, like, that is like picking someone to win a Super Bowl. It's like picking, honestly, in this case, looking back, it's like picking the Cleveland Browns to win the Super Bowl. That's how, in comparison, this looks. That is awful. But I'm also very saddened. LB was, I don't get it. I mean, she would have, it seems like Ben wanted to keep her around. He seemed pretty stunned. He was going to give her a rose, obviously. So there was something there. I mean, because she is Caitlin Bristow clone. A cuter version, even. And here she is, eliminating herself. I guess she was just worried that she wasn't getting enough time with him, and it wasn't worth it for her. So, LB is no B anymore. That's one Lauren gone. So that's disappointing. The women were obviously stunned to see her walk away and leave. And there's an extra rose now, right? So someone's going to stick around that shouldn't, or that didn't plan on doing it. And since the Caitlin Bristow clothes gone, then the next rose went to Jennifer Boobage. She was going to get one no matter what. Emily, the one half of the twins. Then Jamie. Lauren H. So many Laurens. Shasha, my Russian girl. That's who. She actually said some words in English this time around. So, she does speak English. And there's this talk about her. I think she was talking to one of the twins, where she talks about her arrival in America and how she got a $400 car and some vodka. That's what got her through. Yeah. That's winning. That's winning right there, Olivia. Vodka and a $400 car. Winning. Russian girl. Haley gets a rose, so she's the other twin. And there's a final rose left. There's Amber. There's Sam. There's Mandy, yeah, our homecoming queen dentist. And there's another girl. Clearly she wasn't that recognizable. And who gets it? Amber. So these are the girls that would have been probably eliminated. But since LB eliminated herself, Amber gets the rose. So I guess Amber is saved by the bell. No pun intended. So the sour-smelling Sam comes back to bite her at the end. She's gone. Huh. Kind of surprised. Thought she'd be around. And Mandy, putting her out of her craziness and misery. She's the Ashley S of this season, and she had her run in the first episode, and now it's come to an end. Goodbye, Mandy. Someone needs a root canal. You be fine. Get her back to Oregon. And that was it. So, surprise eliminations? Yeah. Shocking that LB is gone and left so early. I did not see that going, obviously. And Mandy, well, I thought maybe she would have another week on the show before she gets eliminated, but just couldn't keep her around. But he was pissed off that she won the high school homecoming gig, right? Yeah. Sam, a little bit surprised. And the other girl, well, clearly not, because I don't even remember her name. And then, of course, the previews of next week. And we see the Olivia takeover beginning. Like, actually going full swing. So Olivia is becoming villain. She's basically like, this is like, kind of like that makes Lace be this version of JJ. Hated in the beginning and then kind of being like liked in a sense just because there's someone worse, and this looks to be Olivia. And there's the big thing all over Twitter today with Olivia's big mouth, like legitimately big mouth, like she has like a huge mouth every time she laughed and talked herself up on this episode. So Olivia, huge mouth, can fill lots of things in it. I'll hold it at that. Yeah. And so this is Olivia's week next week, and there's a lot of crying going on. So there's a lot of, I don't think we've had that much crying so far, but next week's going to bring a lot more crying. So that's something to look out for. So drama is hitting full throttle. That's for sure on The Bachelor. Crying, Olivia takeover, Lace is still around. And Olivia looks like she's kind of the Nick Vale this season. See how these parallels always happen? Always. People liked Olivia, but she's becoming a Nick Vale, the Courtney of Ben Flanick, or Flachnick, or whatever his name is, season. She's becoming a villain. Villain's got a villain. Olivia, the stunning news anchor, is a villain. So that will do it for this episode 2 of The Bachelor and episode 2 of the Bachelor Universe Podcast. Thanks for checking it out. And the show's got a lot of stuff coming up, so this looks like a tearful next week with a villain bullying everyone around, that being Olivia. So thanks for checking out the podcast. Make sure you check out my blog at Chicago Now under Bachelor Universe, or just go to Google and type in Bachelor Universe and you will get the blog on Chicago Now. A little bit, some details, some visuals, some more reading material for you to catch on at work or wherever on your lunch break. But that will do it for this episode, and I will talk to you guys next week. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at JimRKO. So that's JimRKO on Twitter. And thank you for supporting the blog. Make sure to send me comments, questions, concerns, or just feedback, so you can hit me up on Twitter or that. I will talk to you guys next week on another action-packed, fun-filled episode of Bachelor Ben's Life. Alright, see you guys.